Hello everyone, welcome to the full market analysis volume 2. So we did one last week, so same principles apply again. So if you have a look on the right, all the pairs that I watch are in the blue, and then the ones in yellow, we'll do a separate video for those as we are looking to get into those for next week. So we'll give you all the proper targets and everything with that. So essentially what this purpose of this video is just to give you an outlook on what I'm looking at and what I'm thinking. So as we adopt a very long-term strategy, a lot of patience is required in this method, and it just takes a lot of time to get into these positions that we are paying interest to. So hence why we might have some zones that look exactly the same as last week. Just purely because obviously price hasn't managed to reach there, but they are still valid. So I've already done all the technical work behind it, and it's just purely going to be me showing you and explaining to you my thoughts and opinions just based on the bias that I've drawn out. So we'll begin with GBPUSD. So last week we mentioned that we are looking for a nice bullish momentum, and essentially we found that here. So we've had that huge push to the upside. EMAs are switching over, so that's just only used for the bias in terms of the indicators. So the EMAs are these two lines here. So just to remind everyone, we use the 50 EMA and the 25 EMA. So what I will be looking at is just this small zone that we've got printed off here. So this is at 1.25948 to 1.26314. So as we can see, we've had that huge bullish momentum. I will be looking to see how price reacts in this area. So we could find that price slows down in this area with a wick rejection. We can fall with a bearish candle. If we do see that, we could be looking at some switching momentum and a good short play here. But if we continuate, we'll probably see something like this, where closure above on the 4-hour time frame, pull back, and then push to the upside again. So that's all that I'm thinking with this pair. Moving on to our next one, GBPUSD. We're coming into some form of resistance right now. As we can see, we've had a very close rejection of this area with this 4-hour candle here. Just have to wait for a little push a bit more on the Monday open. So essentially just looking for either a rejection here or a closure and a form of bullish momentum like that. The zone that I'm paying attention to is 1.190260 to 1.197343, and again the same principles apply here. So what we'll notice is that all the pound pairs more or less have this bullish momentum. It just really depends upon what happens in these zones that we find, because each pair can react in a different way. But majority of the pound pairs have had a form of bullish pressure over the last few days. As we can see here, push to the upside, so nothing too much. But in regarding this pair, I'm not focusing too much attention on this one, just purely based on the previous history. As we can see, it's very choppy behavior. I'm not looking into this market at all. If we compare the last few weeks, like, this looks a lot more tradable and a lot more appealing to trade, as opposed to all this choppy behavior here. It's just too violent and just too much to even consider. But we've got our ranges here. So as we're currently looking to gain a bit more bullish momentum, we've got our zone here drawn out. And this is a very wide one, but it's at 2.0644 to 2.0795. And just because we're range bound, I'm going to also place another zone in this region here. So essentially my thought processes are is looking at previous history and just drawing these zones in terms of where we see previous rejection. So here, rejection 1, rejection 2, rejection 3, and we can stem this all the way back, but I normally take 2 rejections, and that's valid for me for a zone, and it applies forward, as you can see here, in the future. So now the zone that I've just drawn in here, if we do go below this, so if we drew something like that, we'd look for something like this. But if we go something above that top one, we'll look something like that. So the bottom one, if you want to place this onto your own charts, it's 1.95294 1.91, 1.9674. So within that range. So yeah, not too much for this pair. We'll step on to GBP CAD. As you can see, again, pound pairs pushing up, huge bullish pressure right now. So in particular against the CAD, we could start to see a closure above here following the pullback, and if we do get that, we could be looking for further moves upwards. But if we do manage to break our downtrend, uptrend, could start to find a rejection in this area. So just pay attention to that. And this zone is between 1.74808, 1.75417. So nice momentum that we've got going right now. Feel like this is a very extended. So as we can see from the 25th of March, we've just been buying, 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 and buying. So that's a lot of days in between here. Four whole days of buying pressure. So as we know, markets never just go straight up. It's always in a series of jig-jags like this, I call it. So you know, series of highs, lower high, higher highs, lower high lows, high highs, high lows. So that's how essentially the market works. And then in terms of the downtrend, it's just the reverse. So as we can see here as an example, we make a low, make a higher low, make a new lower low, and a new higher low, and etc, etc, etc. So although it sounds confusing, just try remember that method and that principle, and that's how we know we're in an uptrend or in a downtrend. Okay, so moving on to our next pair, GBPJPY. Again, pound pair is still pushing up, so paying in particular attention to this area, 136.4 to 137.7. If we can find and continuate our momentum to the upside, that's what we'll be focusing on again. And if we find a momentum change here, we could be looking at a halt, because obviously we've been pushing up. But I still feel like we're comfortable in the pound, so we could start to see a bit more bullish action in this pair as well. So just again, focus your attention on that zone. Euro GBP. Last week we was mentioning in our analysis that we were looking to fall. We got into a nice downtrend right now as we've broken our uptrend. So we'll be paying attention to this zone that we've got here. So could be looking at some a different type of entry, another sell entry. So this is at 0.90230 to 0.90864. Again, we're just waiting for this pullback, as we've already got the push to break this zone. Just wait for the pullback, and if we can find some form of rejection of this zone, wait for that bearish candle, we should be able to push further lower. In terms of target, I would potentially look for this bottom low, 0.82. It's a long way to go, but if we do manage to find this pullback, I do believe it will be a very good long-term 750 pips if we do get a good trade into this range. So I will be actually paying attention to this even more. So I will pay attention for the next week, or this upcoming week, and in regards to how price plays out with this pair. So moving on to Aussie dollar, US dollar. Last week I think we still have the same zones here. We're still pushing up. Unfortunately, we didn't manage to get into this trade personally. Just couldn't find the correct entry that we needed, but we are looking to push into this zone here and see if we can react against it, or if we can push it up further. So this zone is between 0.62956, 0.63535, and again, looking and paying attention to this wick rejection as well, as that can also formulate a big zone as well. So this is a huge wick rejection. So I think I said this and mentioned this last week, but typically if price gets to this area, we know that this line is very specific, and we could find a good entry to sell off here. We just have to stay patient again, like I said, in this method. Even though we didn't capitalize on this move all the way up, there is a potential, like I said, always to get in on the market. You just have to wait correctly for your bias. Okay. So moving on to New Zealand dollar, US dollar. Again, you can notice the similar patterns here with the pair and then the US dollar afterwards. They all kind of look the same. So again, looking for either if the zone's going to reject or if we're going to push higher. And this zone is between 0.60710, 0.61265. So again, the same principles, nothing too complicated here. But in terms of the trends that we are currently bullish, so we are technically still moving higher. Just have to wait for signs of reversals really before we can take a potential short. So Euro New Zealand dollar, we are looking to break this uptrend that we currently have. We're just paying particular attention to this zone here, 1.81791 to 1.83256, and essentially looking for a push and pull again to the downside, and if we can push and aim for 1.67. That's a good target long-term range, but like I said, it can all change in between, and as we know, markets never go straight down, always in a form of zigzags. Okay, so we can always capitalize on every single zigzag. It just depends what time frame you're using and how long term you want to be or short term you want to be. Okay, so moving on to USDJPY, so we're going to go into the Japanese yens now. So again, we could start to see some similar price actions here. So we are pushing down, and we have broken our uptrend. So I am looking for a good entry to get in on this. We didn't manage to capitalize our move from last week, but I am expecting a pullback within this region here. So if we can, I will be pushing further lower. Essentially, this is at 109.317 to 109.850. Excuse me. So we'll be waiting for price to get into this. So I will be keeping an eye on this in my own personal trading. But yeah, targeting towards 106.238. We could be looking at this a very long term as well for 101, but really does depend upon the market and the news that we have for next week as well. So moving on to Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. As we can see, we are looking at a potential move around in this area. I do believe that this market is potentially bullish, breaking our new high. So this is at 78.177 to 78.799. So for me to take a bullish buy, I will be looking for something like this. So a push to the upside, closure within this range of this zone, and then we'll push further higher, and we'll be targeting again 81.432. So very long term in this one. I think we still need a bit more of momentum to the upside, but we'll see how Canadian dollar performs this week. EURJPY. Again, we are looking at some potential moves to the upside. So if I just scale out again on the daily time frame, I believe we see we've broken our daily. So we just have to wait and see if we can close above this zone here. Again, the same principle, but this range is at 120.541 to 121.088. Just moving across that way. Yeah, we can see that we've got a testing of our downtrend here with a bullish pressure to the upside. So interesting if we can get a good push from the euro. We could find some interest there. That'd be great if we can actually get into a position. Again, New Zealand dollar. We are still bearish here, so unless we break this zone here, we will be looking for a bullish pressure. But for now, I do believe this is moving downwards still. But this zone is at 66.427 to 66.776. Okay, so still bearish with this one, but we could start to see momentum change just because of the other Japanese yen pairs. They typically have the same currency correlation, but like I said, each individual pair to the Japanese yen can perform differently. So that's why they're not necessarily always correlated. So, for example, if one of the Japanese yens goes up, it's highly unlikely that the other potential market with the Japanese yen will also go up. It just has to, you have to wait for the perfect time in order to get in on the trade, because they all perform very differently. Okay, so again here, with the Aussie dollar to the Japanese yen, I think this is still bullish. Sorry, we just have to wait for another entry, even though we have broken our short-term uptrend. I will be waiting to see if we can break higher than this high. So this is at 67.195 to 67.771. So we'll be looking for something along the lines of this. If that does happen, and if we do close above this zone, then that's what scenario I will be looking for. But if we do find any bearish pressure, we will look into making a video for that, and that just goes along with all the other pairs as well that we watch. We will be posting all the pairs that we are looking to get into in the next following days, etc. So coming to the last two pairs now, so US dollar to the Swiss franc. Managed to get into this trade, but obviously this is continuing further down, so we do have more sell pressure. We'll be looking to continue to get into this sell if possible, but it may take a long time, as we've a good position would have been in around this range. But if we do manage to get into this area here, I will be looking for a buy, and that's if we close above this zone. So this is at 0.97085 to 0.97377, and if we do go below here, I will be looking for further shorts. So this is between 0.94261 to 0.93835. Okay, so there is a big gap in here, but we just have to again stay patient with this pair and see where it can run to. And finally, Euro CAD. Still believe that this is a bearish pair to watch. We've still been waiting for a long time now for this to close lower than this zone. I believe we had this zone from last week, but ultimately still waiting for a push to the downside, like so. And this ranges between 1.51910 to 1.53113. And just for precaution as well, just to give you a heads up, if we are looking to go higher than this, if we do manage to break this high, I will be looking for that push like this. So if we get 4-hour closure above, follow the wait for the pullback, and we could be looking a lot higher, as we've currently has been expected. So I do believe that's all. We have gold and Euro USD that I will be paying a visit to and making a separate video for. Those are the videos that I will be expecting to trade for, or looking for a trade for this week. But yeah, hopefully you learned something on this video, and it's just essentially just to give you a whole idea of where my thought processes are and how I'm drawing my zones, and essentially where I'm looking at on the charts, so that you can have, you can actually place those onto your chart, so you can get there ahead of the group chats or any of my other previous videos that we put, all of our future videos that we put out in regarding our trading videos. So essentially that will be all. If you do have any other questions, make sure you follow us on Instagram. It's the best place to contact me. You can ask me any questions there. I'm happy to help anyone. And also make sure you follow our YouTube channel. So thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.